Hey, everybody. Hope and pray that you're doing well today as we come to our word from the Word. And today that word is see. See. Now, there's a whole lot we could say in Genesis 37 because a whole lot happens. But we're really introduced to Joseph in a more specific manner. Here we have this teenager that has the love of his father and the hatred from his brothers. He is the favorite child, and so he has the coat of many colors, and his brothers hate him because of it. As you go on, you see that God gives him a dream. And Joseph decides, hey, I'm going to tell my brothers and my family this dream. They hate him even more. And he comes back again, has a second dream. And even at this point, even Jacob says, are you trying to say that we'll all be bowing down to you one day? Now, it says that the brothers continued to hate him, and they really were upset. And it's not that Jacob wasn't upset as well, but it does say that he kind of kept these things in mind. So Jacob at least has been around enough and knows enough that's been passed down to say, well, maybe there's something to this. Now, fast forward, the brothers are out in the fields, and Jacob says, Joseph, I'm going to send you out. And he'd already given a bad report on them before, and so he says, I want you to go out, and I want you to let me know what's going on. As he heads out, he gets close to them, just where they can see him, and that's where we're going to pick up today. Genesis chapter 37, verses 18 through 20. Now when they saw him afar off, even before he came near them, they conspired against him to kill him. Then they said to one another, look, this dreamer is coming. Come, therefore, let us now kill him and cast him into some pit, and we shall say, some wild beast has devoured him. We shall see what will become of his dreams. Now, as you follow along through the rest of the chapter, as always, I encourage you to read the whole thing for yourself. You'll see that they decide not to kill him, but to fake his death, bloody up his garment, his coat of many colors, give that back to Jacob and basically say, hey, is this your son's? And let Jacob just kind of put the pieces together in his mind and assume that Joseph is dead. While in the meantime, they have sold him into slavery for 20 pieces of silver. And then the last verse in the chapter, you see that those slave traders sold him and he had made his way to Egypt. Here's the point of everything today. All right, that's a quick summary of the chapter. But when you get to this portion, they see him and they conspire to kill him. And the fact that they call him dreamer. Now, today we would say, okay, that's the same thing. Somebody that's just having dreams and they got these big aspirations and big goals. But really the language there and the context really was one that they were more upset at the fact that God had given him the ability, kind of the prophetic vision of something that was to happen. So in that way, he was a dreamer that saw things that were going to happen, not just that he had dreams and aspirations. Now, if that's true, that makes it even more accurate for the way that they felt, that they hated their brother, but then that they say, let us see what will happen to his dreams. In other words, they were trying to manipulate the will of God. They were trying to manipulate the plan of God. Now, if that doesn't sound just like Jacob and all his family, it's passed on to his sons. His sons who end up deceiving their father with the bloody coat, right now they're trying to deceive God. They're trying to play tricks with God and say, well, if that's the dream you've given him, let's see what happens when we sell him into slavery. Let us see what you're going to do. Let's see what happens to his dreams. And part of this, even if their goal wasn't directly going against God, I believe it was because they were angry with God for favoring the brother as well, giving him these visions that said that they were going to bow down to him. And let's not forget, God is the one who gave Joseph the dreams. Now, you could probably ask yourself, if Joseph didn't share the dreams, would his brothers have been angry enough to kill him. But I guess for that, we'll just have to understand that God is sovereign in all things. And so even in the brothers' hatred, even in the fact that they were trying to get rid of him, and at first we're going to kill him, and then they realize, well, hey, we can do something else. We can make some money off of him. Then they think, okay, well, let's see about God's plans. Let's see how this boy's dreams work out. Lo and behold, they put him on a caravan that ends up taking him to Egypt. In other words, they're in their haste and in their self-interest, their own mindset, that they thought they could manipulate the will of God and manipulate the plan of God and manipulate the things with their brother. What they actually did was just actually get things into motion. It got Joseph away from there and got into Egypt, where God was going to end up bringing all of them by the end of the chapter, or rather by the end of the book. See, the thing is that there's so many times that we think that we're going to go against the will of God and say, let's see how this works out. And we'll do it against others who have been used of God and who God is using and giving dreams and visions and giving them clear words from God. And we'll look to them and we'll decide that we're going to go against them, and we'll see what you do now. Right? And we have church members that will do that, right? All across this nation, all across the world. We'll see what you're going to do if I'm not here. See if you're going to do if I leave. See what you're going to do if I stop giving money. See what you're going to do. And you have this attitude of, it's all about me. When in this case, and I'm not even saying that Joseph's heart was right when he was telling the dreams to his brothers. He could have been arrogant in doing that, saying, hey, buddy, look what's going to happen to y'all. He was a teenager. And remember, let's be honest, we don't always do things right with what God has given us. But at the end of the day, as we come to this context in this passage that we're looking at today, their attitude was one of those attitudes that says, God, see what you can do now. And when we get to that as believers, and when the lost get to that point as well, when they attack, you see so many churches being attacked and so many Christians being attacked, and most recently, of course, Charlie Kirk being killed. And so as you see those things and hear those things, what do we think? They think, the enemy thinks, well, see what's going to happen to your plan now, God. But what God says is, why don't you just wait and see how these things turn out? Why don't you just wait and see how the will of God will be coming true? If you really want to know how it's going to come true, just look to the book of Revelation. We're in Genesis, go back to where we had just been talking about a month or so ago. Look to the things that are to come, and then you will see. So let's start looking instead of telling others to see what happens to their dreams. Let's watch and see what happens with the will of God. God bless you, and I pray you have a great, great day.